you want to start your own business, then you need to listen to the words I'm about to share with you. Because I get a lot of phone calls. I get phone calls from guys that are saying, hey, I think it's time for me to start my own thing, which is pretty cool if you think you're ready. But by the time that they're done talking to me, most of them realize that they don't want any part to do with it. And you need to know that if you're wanting to start your own business, that's a great thing. You may be called to it, but you need to realize that a business, like a real business, is some scary stuff, especially getting started on it. Reid Hoffman, he's the guy that founded LinkedIn and a bunch of other things. He is an entrepreneur genius. He's got this great quote, pardon me, and I love it because I think it just perfectly sums it up. He says that being an entrepreneur is like jumping off a cliff and you assemble your airplane on the way down. That is a perfect analogy for what starting a business is like, because if you're going to jump off a cliff knowing that you might crash, knowing that you might not get your plane assembled and it might not take off, and knowing, most importantly, that you don't have a parachute to pull, then that means you're jumping off the cliff with something that's really, really important, which is the following. You're jumping off the cliff with a plan. You know that you're going off. You know you got to build your plane as you go down, which means that you've got a very well thought out plan. You know how you're going to increase your probability of succeeding so that you don't crash and burn. You also know that there is a possibility that it might not work out. And you got to be okay with losing all of your time, all of your initial energy, all of your money. You got to be okay with that. And you jump without a parachute. Because a real entrepreneur doesn't take that leap and always hang on to a parachute. And that's the fundamental thing that I know is often how I can determine, I should say, if someone is serious or not. Because someone who's really serious is doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it for love. They're doing it for desire. They really feel like this is something they believe wholeheartedly in, and they cut the strings to the parachute. They think in their mind there is no bailout. This plane's going to be built. It's going to fly. This business is going to be built. It's going to fly. It's going to work. Or it's going to crash and burn. And once it crashes and burns, I might have to climb back up the cliff at that point. But I'm not going to bail out in the middle of the fall and leave everybody else to crash without me. Leaders don't do that. So, if you're a technician, you're contemplating starting up your own business, my first piece of advice to you would be don't do it. Now, this is coming from a guy that's started a couple businesses, right? One didn't work out. I didn't lose everything, right? But I lost time. I lost 3 years of valuable invested time. I lost money. There's a lot of money I could have been making doing something else. I could have made more money as a salesperson, but I believed in it. So I stayed until the point that I couldn't. I wasn't the 100% owner. So I sold my part off and that was it. I didn't make much money off of it. I lost far more money than if I were doing something else. This business, I went all in. I put it all in and said, hey, it's going to crash and burn. And you have no idea in the beginning how literally close it literally came to crashing. But the wife and I were committed, and we built that plane, and I think it just started gliding feet from the ground. And now it's soaring. So my first piece of advice to you is don't. My second piece of advice to you is if you're going to do it, then you're ready to go all the way in. You're ready to crash and burn. So my third piece of advice would be to have an amazing plan. Have an amazing plan. And an amazing plan does not look like you work for someone else while you do side jobs. That's not an amazing plan. An amazing plan is all in, 100% committed. You got a business plan. You know how much money you're going to lose or how much money you're going to make in a time period. And you got a plan for this thing to last long term. Because entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff, building your plane on the way down, and realizing that when you jump off that cliff, you got to take people with you. And entrepreneurship is about caring for people, because it's one thing for you to crash and burn. It's a whole nother thing to take other people on the journey with you. Hey, this isn't exactly motivational, but it is sound wisdom that you should listen to if you've ever considered starting your own thing. Until next time, this is Todd Liles with Service Excellence Training. As always, helping you turn learning into earning.